Welcome to session 4 of Holding Hope. In this session today, we'll be exploring some standing shapes as we have been doing the past few weeks. And at the end of towards the end of the session, before we get into our final rest shape, we'll also be exploring some breath awareness and a guided meditation focusing and centering on the breath. So with that being said, I welcome you to have some blocks at the ready if you know that you want them. And if you don't have them on hand, that's totally okay. There's other things we can do without blocks. And if you know that you'd like a blanket, maybe for comfort towards the end of class, then you can have that on hand as well. And we'll begin class in a standing shape. So coming to your feet and beginning to find a stance that feels stable to you. So that might look like having your feet very close together. That might look like having your feet hip distance apart, maybe right underneath your hips. Or that might look like coming out a little bit wider, deciding for yourself what feels stable, what allows your body to feel secure in this moment. So finding your stance, and if you'd like, you could take a look around the room that you're in and just orient yourself. So check in, noticing, okay, maybe I've been in this space many times before. Maybe you haven't been in this space very many times, and just looking around and noticing, these are my surroundings. This is where I am. And you might even look down at your feet and notice what you're standing on. Maybe it's the color of the floor or the color of your mat. And if you notice that your feet are feeling kind of short or like scrunched up, you might even allow the feet to spread out a little bit, taking a bit more space, allowing all of the nerve endings in the bottom of your feet to pick up a little bit more from your surroundings, feeling the texture of what's beneath you. And then finally, if you want, you could leave the eyes open, perhaps staring down the bridge of your nose, resting your eyes on an unmoving spot. Or if you prefer to close the eyes, that is also an option. Everything in this class is optional. It is an invitation. You decide at any given moment what you prefer, what you desire, even if it's different than what I'm doing. Starting to draw your awareness a little bit closer inward, perhaps tuning into your sense of sound, noticing any sounds that are outside of the room that you're in, or maybe the absence of sound. And then drawing your sense of sound even closer, perhaps noticing any sounds that are in the room with you. And then even closer still, perhaps picking up on the sound of your own breathing. And here in class today, I offer you an affirmation to work with, which is, I am in my body. I am in my body. And as you say that affirmation, perhaps in the privacy of your own mind or even out loud, you might even take this opportunity to sink a little bit deeper into a tactile sense of touch. So whether that's tuning into your feet, touching the floor or the mat, or maybe bringing your hands and rubbing them together in front of you, maybe slowly or maybe really quickly, generating some heat, and really feeling the fact that you are in your body right here, right now. I'm here. And then maybe even placing a hand over your chest and one over your abdomen. Feeling the hands resting on your body. And if there is a different affirmation that you would rather work with today, I welcome you to find that now. As we begin to come into some movement, if you're ready for it, and you might begin to find your way towards the top of your mat. And if your hands are on your chest or your stomach, you might begin to release them, perhaps even rolling through the shoulders a little bit, starting to check in with your upper body, noticing how it feels to move your shoulders, maybe even your neck. In any way that feels welcome to you. And finally, if you'd like to begin moving with me, you might start by inhaling and reaching your arms straight up overhead. And as your arms reach up, you might even tap into the feeling of your feet. Feeling that your feet are still grounded, still connected to what's beneath you. And reaching up through your feet, you might even feel yourself grow a little bit taller as your fingertips reach up. Perhaps you take a deep breath in here. And then as you exhale, option to lean over to the right. Maybe your hands reach and hover, or maybe you bring your right hand down to your right leg, giving yourself a bit of stability. And when you're ready, or with your next breath in, you could come back to center. And as you exhale, you might start to reach your hands right out in front of you like you're holding something, and allow your right arm to swim back, coming into a twist. So your arms are reaching in opposite directions. Left hand is in front and right hand is in back. Or maybe you chose to do the opposite side. And with your in-breath, you could start to come back to center, reaching up. And as you exhale, option here to take a forward fold. Starting to reach the torso and the hands down toward the floor. And if you notice here that your stance needs to be altered or adjusted, please do so. So that might look like, if you feel like you need a little bit more space for your body, that could look like taking your feet as wide as your mat, creating a little bit more space, maybe even bending into the knees a little bit or a lot. And then another option here is to utilize your blocks. So you could bring your blocks right underneath you so that your hands can rest on the blocks. And the blocks are a great prop for literally just bringing the floor to you or becoming an extension of your own body. They just create a little bit more space. And with your next inhale, you might begin to find a halfway lift, either keeping your fingertips on the block, or if you don't have blocks, maybe placing your hands on your shins. Maybe you explore creating a little bit more space in your spine by lengthening through each vertebrae. And with an exhale, you could stay here, or you could come right back down into your fold. Staying here as long as you want. And whenever you're ready, you could meet me at standing by inhaling and rising all the way back up, taking your time. Exhale, hands can come down to heart center or to your sides. If you feel a little bit dizzy or lightheaded from having your head below your heart, maybe keep your eyes open and just give yourself a moment to orient. So if you're ready for the next side, you could begin to inhale and reach your arms up above your head. And this time we'll take the left side. So as you exhale, you could begin to lean over toward the left. Maybe your hands hover here. Maybe your left hand comes to your left leg for a bit of support as you reach on over. And then breathing in, you might start to find your way back to center. And breathing out, you could reach your hands straight out ahead of you, and keeping your right hand where it is, you might start to swim your left arm back, coming into an open twist. You might choose to stay here as long as you like, or you could inhale and come right back to center. And as you exhale, you could start to find a forward fold. So again, here, you could use your blocks right in front of you, or if you don't have blocks, you could simply allow the arms to come down toward the mat. With your next inhale, option to find a halfway lift, either bringing the hands to your shins or resting the hands on your block. And with an exhale, you might start to fold right back down. And an inhale to rise whenever you're ready for it. Exhale. Maybe your hands come down to heart center, or maybe they rest at your sides. Taking a pause here. We'll do that one more time on each side, and option to bring to mind as we flow through this one more time, bring to mind the affirmation, I am in my body. As you move your body, as you breathe with your body, really tapping into, I am right here. I am in my body. So if you're ready, you could inhale and reach your arms up overhead. And as you exhale, perhaps finding your way over to the right. Your choice of where you place your hand. Noticing perhaps the opening in the left side of your ribs. And as you're ready to inhale, maybe you come back to center. And as you exhale, you could reach your hands right in front of you, allowing the left arm to stay where it is and the right arm to swim back as you find a nice open twist. Your inhale brings you right back to center, reaching the arms right up overhead. And if you would like to take a forward fold, on your exhale, you might begin to find your way down. Checking in with your stance here. If your body needs a little bit more space, just a gentle reminder to take your feet as wide as your mat, or maybe even have the feet hip distance apart. And with your next breath in, you could find a halfway lift. Fingertips or hands could come to the floor, your shins, or the blocks. And as you exhale, maybe you fold right back down. And an inhale to rise all the way up to standing. And last little flow here, exhale to the left. Maybe your left hand comes to your left leg as you reach over. And an inhale to come back to center when you're ready for it. Last open twist here as we reach our arms right out ahead of us. Right hand can stay where it is. Left arm can swing back for a nice open twist. Noticing what it feels like here to have your arms reaching in opposite directions. And breathing into center, maybe reaching your arms right back up. And exhale. Maybe your hands come to heart center, or maybe your arms rest at your sides. Wherever you're at, I welcome you to take a pause and simply check in with your body. If it helps to place your hands over your heart or your abdomen, you might do so. If it helps to tune into a sense of touch. Perhaps you notice if your breath or your heart rate has changed since just taking a few movements. One more breath here. And if you're ready to continue moving, you might begin to find your way into chair pose. So here, I recommend having the feet hip distance apart. However, if your body wants something different than that, then you can absolutely find it. Maybe having your feet a little bit closer than hip distance might be helpful. But once you come into the shape, you can decide for yourself. So with the feet hip distance apart or maybe narrower, you could begin to inhale, reach the arms overhead, bend into the knees, and allow your hips to sink down towards the floor, kind of like you're sitting in a chair. And for this first one, I invite you to place your hands on your core. So noticing here that if your lower back is really swaying out, like maybe your hips are and your tailbone are kind of coming out, and if that causes tension in your lower back, it might be helpful to start to engage your core and notice if that helps support your lower back at all. Another thing here is to become aware that your chair can be as deep or as shallow as you want it to be. So there's no need to go into a super deep chair if that's not what your body is asking for today. So let's go ahead and stand on out of it now that we kind of know our options. Maybe move through the legs. And then with our next inhale, we'll find our way back in. So you can inhale, find your way into your chair, whatever version suits you in this moment. And you might choose to stay right here, tapping into your breath, breathing in and out, feeling the engagement of your legs. And if you want, you could even bring your hands to the tops of your legs, feeling the muscles that are supporting you. Maybe gaining some heat, maybe getting a little bit uncomfortable. That's okay. We are here, we are in our bodies. Okay, and we'll take one more breath in. And with your exhale, option to take a forward fold. And with your next inhale, you might begin to find halfway lift. Hands can come to your shins or your blocks, you choose. And then exhale to fold right back down when you are ready for it. Inhale, we'll start to stand all the way back up. And then exhale to bring our hands to heart center. We'll start to move into a warrior one. I'm gonna start on my right side. I'm gonna step my right foot back. And we'll keep the left foot forward if you're following on the same side. Option here to take your right foot all the way over to the right side edge of your mat, if you feel like your body needs a little bit of space. Another option is take your front foot and allow it to come to the opposite edge of your mat. If it helps to bring your hands to your hips here to kind of feel where your legs are in space, option to do so. And when you're ready, you could start to lunge into your front leg. Checking in with your body and feeling where you are in space. Maybe even placing your hands on your legs, on your front quad and your back quad. And as we're here for the next few breaths, I welcome you to feel the engagement of your leg muscles. Perhaps even tune into the front of your back leg. So if your right leg is back, you could maybe tune into the right hip, the front of your right hip, and start to feel what is happening there. What's going on in this area? If you'd like, you might inhale and reach the arms up overhead. Or you might decide to leave your hands exactly where they are. Can you bring some awareness into your feet, plugged into your mat, supporting you, traveling up the legs and feeling the engagement of your legs? One last breath here, breathing in and breathing out. Exhale, maybe your arms come down, and we're gonna press off of the back leg if you're ready to leave this shape and start to come forward. Coming back to the top of our mat. And as we come to the top of our mat, can you take a pause and feel, how does the right side of my body feel compared to the left side of my body? So taking 3 to 4 breaths to explore this. Feeling into your right leg, all the way down into your right foot. Feeling from the left leg all the way down into your left foot. Does one foot feel heavier or more grounded than the other? Or maybe they feel similar? And with your next inhale, if you're ready, you could breathe into your chair, starting to reach the arms overhead, sinking the hips down. And this time, option to add a nice little twist. So if you'd like, the bottom half of your body might stay the same, and you could breathe your arms forward, similar to what we were just doing, and you could exhale and swing one arm back, maybe even taking the gaze back toward your back thumb. Inhaling forward. Exhale, option to take the other side back, your opposite arm. Option to continue moving at your own pace, perhaps tapping into your breath. Each inhale brings you forward. Each exhale brings you back. Okay, after your last one, you could come back to center, breathe in, and with an exhale, you could start to come down into a forward fold. With your next breath in, if you'd like to, you could take a halfway lift. And an exhale to fold. Right back down. You choose how long you want to be here. And when you're ready to leave, you might take a breath in and start to stand all the way up, reaching the arms overhead, lengthening through the spine as the feet are grounded on the earth. Big line of energy saying, I am taking up space, I am here. And an exhale to bring the hands down. And if you're ready to take warrior one on the opposite side, you might begin to step your left foot back. If you want more space in your body, or if your body is asking for more space, you could take the left foot or your back foot towards the left side edge of your mat, if your left foot is back. Your right foot might find its way over to the right side edge of the mat. If it's helpful to place your hands on your hips, option to do so. And just kind of feel where your legs are in space. And when you're ready to, you could begin to lunge into your right leg or your front leg. You might choose to leave your hands on your hips, or you could always choose to bring the hands down onto your legs and feel the muscle activation here. Can you travel your awareness from your hips, maybe starting with your back leg here? So starting from your back leg and traveling your awareness down, all the way down into your heel, into your back foot, plugging into the earth, feeling what is supporting you here, the engagement of your muscles, moving down into the earth, and the earth meeting you there, supporting you right where you are. You might choose to leave your hands on your legs, or you might decide to reach your arms up overhead. Perhaps bringing the affirmation to mind. I am in my body. I am in my body. Last breath in and out. And if you're ready to leave this shape, you could begin to come forward, press off of your back foot, and come back to Tadasana, mountain shape. And taking a pause here. Just as we tuned in after the first side, let's tune in again after our second side. Noticing your feet on the floor. How grounded do your feet feel? Do they feel a little bit heavier? Or maybe you're just a bit more aware of your feet. If so, that's welcome as well. And check in with the left side and the right side of your body one more time. Maybe even traveling your awareness from your feet up into your torso, up into your shoulders and your head, feeling the fullness of the right side of your body and the fullness of the left side of your body. Okay. Option to take that little flow with me one more time with some options for some variations before we start to move into our cool down. So if you'd like, you could find chair pose again, inhaling the arms up and sinking the hips down. Noticing here if this chair pose feels maybe different than your first two. Option to stay in stillness or option to reach your arms forward as we breathe in. Maybe you take a twist. Inhaling forward if you want, or maybe staying for a couple breaths on one side. Noticing any differences here when you twist to the right compared to when you twist to the left. And as you finish up your last one, you might inhale back to center and exhale into a fold. Option to take an inhale, halfway lift. And an exhale to release right back down. Inhale to rise if you're ready for it, because you might decide to stay where you are a little bit longer. And you could step maybe your right foot back or your left, your choice. Okay, I'm gonna start on the right. An option to find a warrior one. Your choice of hand placement. So you might reach your hands up, you might place your hands on your legs, and you could always bring your hands to heart center. What does your body need in this moment? Taking one more breath here. And as you exhale, option to stay right here in stillness, or if your right leg is back, you might swim your right hand back to the back of your right leg. Maybe opening up the heart a little bit for a reverse warrior. It doesn't have to be super far back. It can be just a little bit. Option to take one more inhale and exhale here. And with an inhale, coming back up to center. And exhale, coming back to standing. One more time, tuning into those two sides of your body before we take our very last flow on the other side. Noticing, if you took the reverse warrior, does your right shoulder or your left shoulder feel different even? And then we'll take the last flow on our last side, inhaling into chair shape if you're ready for it. Maybe you exhale and find a twist. Maybe you decide to stay at stillness. Wherever you're at, can you connect with your breath? Last twist here. I'll meet you back at center whenever you get there. Breathing in. And as you exhale, maybe you find your way into a forward fold. With your next breath in, perhaps you find a halfway lift. And as you exhale out, you could release back down to the earth if you're ready for it. And as you breathe in, you might start to come up to standing. And we'll take our very last warrior one. You could step your opposite foot back if you were on the right side last time. Maybe it's your left foot this time. Lunging into your front leg when you're ready for it. Your choice of hand placement. Maybe it's the hands on the legs. Maybe it's heart center. Maybe it's reaching up, taking up space. Wherever you're at, can you be all here? Can you be right here in your body with awareness and compassion? And you might choose to stay at stillness, or with your next exhale, you might start to swim your hand to the back of your back leg and maybe open up the heart if you want to. If this shape does not feel welcome to your body, you don't have to do it. You could stay at center. There is no right or wrong. And with your next inhale, you might begin to come back to center. And exhale, step forward. Coming into Tadasana, mountain shape. Maybe you plant your feet a little bit firmer for this last one. And we'll take about 3 to 4 more breaths. Simply feeling into our bodies. What do you notice? What is present for you? And after your 3rd or 4th breath, you might begin to start moving down onto your mat. We'll be coming into a child's shape. And if you would like a blanket underneath your knees, option 2, have it. Also, if you know that, or if you're curious even to try, if you haven't tried it before, to have a blanket across your hips, I'll show you that option as well. But first, as you come into child's shape, it might be helpful to start in a tabletop. And here you could choose to take your knees as wide as your mat, and then maybe your toes touch back behind you. And you could start to sink your hips down toward the heels. And as you start to come down into your child's shape, you might notice as you reach your arms out and bring your forehead to the floor, if your legs feel that they are too far apart, you could adjust by bringing them in a little bit closer together, if that provides a bit more stability for your body. Another option is if you don't prefer to have your gaze down, your forehead on the mat, you could lift your gaze and maybe stack your fists on top of one another, and then rest your forehead or rest your chin here, noticing if that feels a bit more welcome. And lastly, if you'd like, you could take a blanket and drape it over your back body, perhaps providing an increased sense of covering and safety. And I invite you to be here in this child shape for the next 5 rounds of breath. However, if this shape does not feel welcome to you for any reason, you could leave it at any time. No questions asked. You've just done a lot of movement in your body. And so might you take this opportunity to check in, notice what's present for you. Perhaps you notice the breath moving a little bit deeper. Maybe the heart rate is slowly starting to come back down after taking such warming movements. And start to finish up those 5 rounds of breath. And you might choose to continue to stay right here in your child shape. And you absolutely can. There's no rush to move from this shape if this is what is supporting you in this moment. Or if you are ready to leave this shape, you might begin to lift your gaze to look at your hands and start to rock forward, coming into a tabletop. And option to begin coming into a reclined shape, so on your back, or if you prefer to not be on your back, that's okay too. You could come into a seated shape. But we'll be moving into our time of guided meditation, and today's focus of meditation is going to be the breath. And so if you want to lie on your back as we move into this time, and you know that you'll also want to take your time of rest lying on your back, then you could set up for that and just already be ready to move into it. So that is an option. However, you don't have to. You can set up however you like. And as you begin to find the shape of your choice, If you're coming down to lay on your back, you might start by simply pulling your knees in toward your chest. If your lower back is feeling some tension, maybe even rocking from side to side a little bit. And if you want, you could plant the feet on the floor, maybe hip distance apart, or maybe the feet come out towards the left and the right side of your mat. And you could allow the knees to fall in toward one another. And this would allow the hip flexors to take a little bit of a break. Or you could always extend the legs out, maybe even draping a blanket over you for warmth or a sense of safety. You could also come into this time in any other shape. You could lie on your stomach. You could stay seated. You could even stay standing if you wanted to. It's whatever you want. It's whatever allows you to feel supported. And you can also change your mind at any time. Just because you choose one option doesn't mean you're stuck with it. You can change your mind at any time. Option to place your hands on your stomach, or maybe one hand on your chest and one hand on your stomach if you'd like. You could also leave your hands at your sides or on your lap. You choose. And here I welcome you to just notice where your body is resting on the floor. What is supporting you? And where is your body making contact with what is supporting you? Perhaps inviting your muscles to soften a little bit into this support. You might even feel your muscles growing a little bit heavier. And I invite you to shift your mental awareness into your breath. And you don't have to do anything to change how you're breathing. However, could you allow your awareness to simply encompass the breath, or even vice versa, for the breath to encompass your awareness? And so as you inhale, you might feel in your body where your body is inhaling. Perhaps you feel your inhale coming in through your nose, maybe noticing the cool air coming in through your nostrils and moving around your nostrils. Perhaps you feel your breath moving more in the chest. Maybe even if you have your hand over your chest, maybe you could feel the hand over your chest moving in tandem. Or perhaps you feel more movement in your stomach. If you have your hand over your stomach, you might even feel your hand moving in tandem. So wherever you feel your breath awareness the most, the nose, the chest, or the stomach, I welcome you to rest your awareness in that particular spot and simply watch your breath move in and out, feeling the inhale as it expands this particular area of your body. And then noticing the difference in movement and sensation as you exhale and allow the air to release. Anytime that your mind begins to wander, you can gently just bring the awareness back into your breath. And we'll be here for the next 10 to 15 breaths, rounds of breath, so about 15 inhales and 15 exhales. Allowing your awareness to just stay with the breath. And anytime your mind wanders, just bring the awareness back. About 5 more rounds of breath. Last breath. And after your last exhale, you might choose to continue staying with the awareness of your breath, or you might decide to leave it, releasing any focus on your breath and simply allowing yourself to move into this quiet time of rest with no agenda. You might check in with your body one last time and notice if there's any shape or movement that needs to be had, any props that would be appreciated. Taking this opportunity to make any adjustments needed before we come into our final time of rest. And we'll be here in our final time of rest for about 4 to 5 minutes. And as we're here, there is no agenda, no need to do anything to be specific or nothing to accomplish. You can simply be here, resting in any way that feels welcome to you. And just know that I'll keep track at the time. And I'll let you know when this time of rest is complete. And even though I'm quiet, I am still right here with you. If you'd like to stay in this time of rest even longer, you absolutely can. You can stay here as long as you like. And if you are ready to begin adding some movement back into your body, you might start by moving anywhere that feels welcome, maybe taking a full body stretch, maybe even rolling through the ankles and the wrists. And if you're lying on your back, you might start to make your way over to lay on one side. Pausing here in the fetal position for just a moment. Perhaps even bringing to mind our community affirmation, I am in my body. I am in my body. And if you're ready to begin pressing yourself up, I'll meet you in any seated shape that feels welcome to you. Taking your time, there's no rush. You might decide to place your hands at heart center, or maybe leave your hands resting in your lap. You choose. And I invite you to take one collective breath with me to close out our time together. And if you'd like, you could start with the exhale, letting all of your air go. And then we'll breathe in together. Thank you so much for joining me in this practice today. I hope that you take a moment to acknowledge yourself for showing up on your mat. I celebrate all of your choices that you have made today in this past 60 minutes, and I hope that you celebrate yourself as well. It is my hope that you feel safe, connected, and at home in your body. Thank you.